Welcome to the Urban Uplander Podcast. This collaborative series, created by Urban Uplander Pet Care, LLC, was designed to facilitate continual learning. Join your host, Melinda Benbow, and her special guests weekly to learn all things about pet care, dog sports, bird dog training, and so much more.
Welcome to our very first episode of the Urban Uplander Podcast. This is an Urban Uplander Pet Care production hosted by myself, Melinda Benbow. We're super excited to get this series started, and today I have my very first special guest. And in my opinion, he is probably the specialist of guests because he is not only Urban Uplander Pet Care's part-time owner and partner, but he's also my husband. So Kyle, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me on, Melinda.
Yes, well, it's going to be wonderful. And we do, just because we are in different parts, we have a slight delay, but that is to be expected. So once again, thank you for joining. If you're just now figuring out who we are as a brand, Urban Uplander Pet Care started honestly as Urban Uplander Pet Care just a couple short years ago. However, we have been in the pet care and dog training field for about 9 years now, going on 9 years. When we first started out, we were Fluffy Puppy Pet Sitting, and we were just a local Indianapolis dog walking company that had some knowledge in the dog training aspect of pet care. So that's kind of where we got started. We had our first dog, Sir McFluffenstuff, aka Fluff, who the business was named after. And we kind of decided that after boarding him for our very first time as new pet owners, that it wasn't what we wanted to do. And if it's something that people had to do, we knew that there had to be a better way to do it. So that's kind of where we got our start. We were both serving for the longest time, bartending, doing those kinds of odds and end jobs. Kyle has always been in school through the duration of our relationship and working really hard towards his degrees. And I kind of knew I wanted to do something in the pet care field, but did not know what that was going to be. You know, the main thing that people kind of shop for back then was a vet technician or veterinarian. And for many reasons, which we can go into another day, it just didn't seem like a fit for me. So Kyle was super supportive in helping me get into a certified pet sitter program. And then that is when Fluffy Puppy Pet Sitting took off. So thank you for all that, babe. We had a wonderful time doing it. We gained a lot of traction super fast. And then about a couple years ago, we decided to, back in actually 2020, when so much was happening in the world, we decided to kind of advance our business and change our business name to Urban Uplander Pet Care. It seemed like the business was maturing a lot as we were maturing, and we wanted to just kind of have a little restart, like I think a lot of people in 2020. So that's where Urban Uplander came about. We had gained this new passion in upland hunting and upland related dog breeds. And so it kind of just worked out perfectly for us. So once again, that's just a brief introduction to who we are. I'd love to dive more into that here in a little bit, but I do want to introduce my wonderful husband and business partner, Kyle Benbow. Kyle, you are up to so much. Can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
So yes, my name is Kyle Benbow. As Melinda kind of told you, I'm introducing myself. I am currently getting my PhD at Auburn University in industrial organizational psychology. When I met Melinda, I was still just like very much in my infancy of school. I was in my first year. I was kind of starting towards this mission where I knew I really liked school, and I wanted to go on to actually work in academia, and the people I talked to, the professors and the staff there, kind of put me in the direction of the PhD. So for myself, it's been this goal of being able to acquire my PhD and go into the field of academia. And obviously, you kind of talked about last year a little bit, and my journey's kind of been side by side with yours, whereas I started it at IUPUI, and that's when you were still working, or we were both working in restaurants. From there, I got the master's opportunity, and during that 1 year in which I graduated and I took off, that's when you presented the idea of pet sitting, and that's when you, I believe, were working for another company at the time, and just kind of thinking to yourself, like, I can have a little bit more flexibility if I, do this on my own. And I think the thing that really impressed me was the amount of time and research that you kind of went into creating this company, and you really kind of showed that, like, you were very serious about doing this, that this wasn't a part-time, something to make extra money for you, that this was, a career choice. So it was easy to support you in that regard, because you kind of really showed that this is something that you wanted to do. And for me going back to school, it provided us with the flexibility to be able to help get this company, launch it, and be able to be successful there while I was, obtaining my goals through school. So obviously I went through the math. I was going to Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, which I started there in 2019. Obviously, we all know what happened in 2020. So at the time in which me and Melinda were purchasing a house, I believe we started the process in January, and by March the pandemic hit, and I ended up coming home. And during that time I came home, I was a lot more hands-on with the business than I normally would be. So I got to really see Melinda as the owner, and really harnessing her skills as a pet trainer. And for myself, I was teaching from home, so I had to really learn this balance between being a student and being a husband and being a manager of a pet sitting company, while not losing my mind during a pandemic. But what brought me to Auburn is that my mentor I was working with, Dr. Jonathan Kuzman, he got an opportunity at Auburn that he told me about in their industrial organizational program. And, I remember that we had to sit down and have this conversation with you, because it was not in my intentions to move 3 or 4 states away during grad school. And obviously the challenges it kind of presents, being that we are a little bit further away, and I'm going to a state that I didn't know. But ironically enough, that is where Dr. Dale Hubbard is, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And it kind of presented a new opportunity both for Urban Uplander and for myself. So this last year, starting in August, I was at Auburn. I still had my role at Urban Uplander, where I do a lot of the communication sides of things. So the invoicing, the bill paying, being able to help facilitate the conversations between you and the clients through our Pepper app, and trying to just help keep organized the calendar that we do have. So I say, obviously you are the main face on the front end of things when it comes to actually handling clients, and when it comes to meeting new clients and getting them kind of settled in and being that face of the organization. I like to always think of myself as like your Alfred to your Batman. So I'm in the background doing what I can to help help the business run. So but yeah, this last semester we kind of saw how it went. There were some things that we did well, a lot of things that I think we did really good. The opportunities present themselves with Dr. Dale Hubbard. We were able to find our Jasper, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a little bit, and discover him through Dr. Dale Hubbard and his breed. We were able to get Shug in training, which was awesome. And I was able to find a new major that's hopefully opened up some new opportunities here shortly. So that's kind of the big, long-winded answer there. But I guess for myself, I like to think of myself as, the background here at Urban Uplander. I help facilitate a lot of the invoicing, a lot of the communications, and I can step in and be a podcast host as I'm doing today.
Awesome. Yeah, you do a lot for us. Don't sell yourself short. I mean, Kyle does all of our organization for tax paying. The list really does go a long ways. He's a major asset to this company and my life in general. So aside from that, you did mention one of my first pet care jobs that I had here in Indianapolis. And that is, besides, I guess that is what drove me to have our own business. Having a dog of my own is what kind of got me into wanting to care for other people's dogs. But the working for other companies is definitely what excuse me, set a little bit of a fire in me to have my own company. You just kind of, like you said, there's more flexibility when you do operate your own business. And we'll never name names or anything like that. But there was a lot of situations that I felt were completely avoidable as a pet care manager or, pet sitter in general. And it was unfortunate that we had to face a lot of those situations with other companies. But once again, it gave us a really good idea of how to elevate the care that we provided to our local community. So when we started, which is why you hear dogs in the background, because we do have lovely animals in our home. So when we got started, we started out in the pet sitting side of things. So we would travel home to home doing some dog walks. I did have another dog training job on top of that with a local company. And it looked like a lot of midday stuff. Sometimes we'd have vacation care where we would leave out in the morning, leave out in the evening, do a midday visit. And we used to do a lot more overnight stays where we would actually stay in clients' homes. And we, like I said, we gained a lot of traction really fast. And 2020 not only reformulated the name of our business and some of the training that we did, but it also changed our normal services, as it was a little bit more risky to go home to home during that time. So we were able to, instead of doing the home to home, we provided daycare in which we went and picked up dogs ourselves and dropped them back off, and they still got to leave the home. And, I think a lot of our clients at first were like, hey, we're home. Why does it matter if our dogs are home? And then I think people really realized soon off that they're not used to being around their dogs that much during the day. And, they needed that outlet as much as their dogs needed the outlet. So we were still able to provide that. A lot of our business is designed around dog boarding, where we have dogs that stay within our home. We do basic obedience, but we don't necessarily do board and trains. We love getting to work with our clients one-on-one, as it's very important that our clients understand how and what to do with their dogs in these training situations. So, which is why we do more of the one-on-one training rather than board and train. That being said, our daycare days are more or less known as socialization days, where those training clients can come and interact with each other and socialize with other dogs that have gained the same social cues and skills as them. And then we also are able to provide more enrichment during our day. So the idea is that the dogs that come to our home day to day are becoming behaviorally better rather than just overexerted and overexhausted and understimulated in the right ways, like maybe you would get from a normal facility daycare environment. So just a little bit more of what Urban Uplander is. And, the name really came from the fact that, basic obedience is definitely a necessity when it comes to the average pet owner. But as a dog enthusiast, and being that my life does revolve around dogs, I knew that I would always have more dogs and more pets. But it kind of, I guess, in our minds was like, hey, if we want to do more recreational things, since our job is so time consuming, why not have those dogs come in with more specified training ideals and events and showcasing these training styles that we could do. And so that's where the upland side of things came in. We did a lot of research on what hunting is like. I did a hunter education course along with some becoming outdoor women retreats, just to have a better idea of what gun handling was like first before getting the dog. Because, if I'm not liking the hunting side of things, I probably shouldn't get the hunting dog. Fortunately, at BOW, I took that shotgun class and realized I absolutely enjoy this. And then that's kind of where the hunting side of things took off at. It took me a while to decide on the breed I wanted, though. I know you remember me just kind of like going back and forth all the time and just, showing up at dog shows and, watching the sporting breeds and just kind of learning more about each breed and what their owners have to say and how versatile each dog really is. So that's where I first met Holly Hatfield. She has been a wonderful part of my journey. She, I call her a full circle moment where, a lot of things that I get to do completely come right back around to the same awesome person. So we met at the Indy Winter Classic. She was showing Vizsla. She was there with a wonderful woman named Patty. And Patty was telling me, if you're interested in hunting with bird dogs, you should join our hunt test group. And that's how I found out about the KPBA. And through them, I got to go watch my first hunt test and get to talk to the judges and the handlers and really learn more about what these events entail. And I also got to do my first bird hunt that weekend. I'd never hunted anything or over a dog until that point. So once again, this whole journey was something that was just all new. Besides the dog aspect, everything else was very new to this journey. And so the owner of the land out there, he took me out for my first guided hunt behind his German Shorthair, Ava. And it was absolutely awesome. I had a blast. I know when I came home, I was already pumped before I left, but I came back ready to get a bird dog. So, and those full circle moments, right? So then this past year, I have had my bird dog. We've done a lot of training. We've done a lot of traveling, and I got to do my first hunt test at the KPBA. So that was neat. After just watching the dogs a couple years back, I finally got to go back to participate. And that was an event all on its own, lots of cheers and jeers that weekend, but part of the learning process. So, and then those other full circle moments with Miss Holly Hatfield, she is actually going to be on our next episode of the podcast talking about Red River Bird Dogs, which is her bird dog brand. So once again, super exciting, super grateful for that person. I know she knows that I tell her any chance I get. But that's just a little bit more about Urban Uplander, the brand, how we got started as a pet care company, what got us into the bird dog side of things. And, when it comes to that bird dog training side of things, as a basic obedience trainer and one of your just general dog owners, it seemed like the training that I provide for my dogs looks a lot different than a lot of the training I'd see within the upland community. And that's no shade to anyone. That's just a difference in methods. And I knew that I wanted to implement my methods, and not even just my methods, right? The scientific methods that most of us certified trainers who have behavioral backgrounds are familiar with. And, there's definitely, now that I'm in the community, I know there's a whole bunch more people on these same quests and doing a wonderful job at it. I mean, Dr. Dale Hubbard, who's been a wonderful source of information for me and actually worked with me and my first bird dog. There's, Lisa Snyder, who's a wonderful person that we get to handle with at different hunt tests and NAVDA events, and Joe Lawrence. I mean, the list really does go on. There are a lot of people out there, but, to have more of that voice within this community, to show that there's other ways to work with your dog. So if you are just that pet owner who has a bird dog who's showing these hardwired behaviors of being really good at getting out on birds and, wanting to engage in these jobs that they were bred to do, it can be a little alarming trying to break into a community where you feel that you may damage the bond with your dog in order to pursue this kind of engagement with your dog. So it's nice to be able to offer some kind of training outlet to maybe the person who doesn't plan on having guide dogs and doesn't plan on, running their dogs year round, but want to allow their dog to engage in what they were bred to do. So that is another reason why we brought our training into the upland side of things. We are still very much novice at this, which is another point of this podcast, is to host more learning for us while also getting to demonstrate our knowledge on the scientific front. So we have a lot of cool people that are going to be on different episodes that are going to help us continue to learn more about the upland side of things, whether that's preparing your dog to get out in the field, first aid in the field, what to check for when they come out the field, different breed breakdowns, hunting ethics, hunting etiquette, a whole bunch of other things that anybody who wants to get into this field is probably going to want to know. So that's super exciting. So Kyle, thank you again for hosting this with me, so I don't have to just talk into the void and stare at the computer. You've been a big part of this journey once again. I know that when we got married, you probably did not realize how many dogs we would accumulate, but how has this new journey been for you?
Yeah, so I came from a completely novice dog background. So when we first got started in our relationship, for myself, I limited dog experience altogether. Now that's how dog culture, I think, was in the 90s than it was in the 2000s. So it was a bit of a different whole dog experience going from that to where we started, and that's what was Fluff, and that was pretty much kind of my first dog that we owned. And we were very novice at the time of being pet owners, so we did a lot of things with him that were looking back, probably not like the best for learning or whatever, but we treated him well and made sure he was taken care of, and he's a great dog. He blossomed into one of the smartest dogs that we have now. But as we kind of moved on in the relationship, they really kind of grown into family, and all of our pets just kind of found us. So I believe we planned for one of them. That was our second pet, the pit bull, who unfortunately passed away. And he was playing because obviously we wanted to get Fluff a friend. And then Tay, she found herself into our world, and then Niley found herself into our world, and then Broomhilda found herself into our world. So there was just these animals that just came about through fate.
Almost like they were just dropping out the sky.
Yeah, right. And the thing is, not like we keep every animal we've ever came across, because there's plenty that we've successfully returned home. There's plenty that we've had to, find other arrangements for. But the ones that found us seemed to find us at the time that we
needed them most.
So.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're
yeah.
right. It's we planned for Magic, and Kyle touched on that. Unfortunately, the Magic was our second dog, and we adopted him from what they call the mega adoption event here in Indianapolis. And he was a great bully mix. My biggest regret is that we never did a DNA test, because to this day, I think he was about maybe a pointer Dane bully something, but he ended up, he had epilepsy. And so he did suffer from chronic seizures. And unfortunately, his last seizure created a lot of bodily harm. So we did lose him, unfortunately, but he was a wonderful dog. And I think after he came home is when, yes, Tay, our Chihuahua, we found her on a rainy day here in Indy, and we had no luck finding her home. So unfortunately, for wherever she came from, she did not go back, but she became a wonderful addition to our family. We love that little Chihuahua. And then the cats, Niley showed up in our front bush. She, just showed up, and we weren't looking for a cat. We even called Animal Care and Control, and they ended up never come. Actually, no, they called us about 3 months later saying, "Hey, do you still have that cat?" And we were like, well, she's ours now. It's been 3 months. And then we had the litter of kittens that we bottle fed last year during COVID, and, they were wonderful. So of course, one definitely became a permanent fixture of our home. We love her so much. We couldn't let all of them go. And then we had Shug come, our setter, English setter, who was the only other one that we planned. Oh, no, I missed Hilda. Miss Hilda came about a couple years. The year we got married, we took on a pet care on the side of town that we don't normally go to. And we came across Miss Hilda, who was wrapped in chains, just had open sores and abrasions. And, I'm not sure the full story behind what happened with her, but I do know that that is the only dog or animal that we have found that we did not try to find the family, because whoever had her before just does not deserve her. The state that they left her in, she was wrapped in chains that were padlocked to her. She would walk, what we call dog trailing, when a dog kicks its hind rear out to the side in order to walk, which typically happens in hip dysplasia and stuff like that. But she was doing it because she had to drag so much weight in chains that she had almost a permanent little side hitch. Now it's gotten better over time and stuff, but yeah, whoever did that to that sweet girl does not deserve her. And so she has been the newest pity addition to our family, and because the family is not complete without a pit bull, and she has just been wonderful. And then Shug was the next dog that we had planned for, which was our English setter. Again, it took us a while to decide on what breed we wanted to go with, but I think that we made a wonderful choice. I'm in love with this breed now. I don't think I'll get another dog, honestly.
Yeah, I think, and that, that kind of sums up, our story. So, it wasn't, I don't think when we first met, you told me like, hey, I want to own so many dogs, but, I definitely kind of, understand how it's naturally progressed, and I'm happy. The dogs we have, they all get along with one another. They are, they're all smart. It's a good mix. We have a small dog, we have a medium dog, we have pit bull isn't really large, and then we have our working dogs, and the working dogs get to show another aspect of what we do, and what it is that you do, which is the training and the opportunities that you get with that, and having these dogs to have these adventures with is, kind of the life that we want to live. And there's no offense to Fluff or Hilda or Tay, which we've done a lot with. Obviously, if anybody's follow us on Instagram,
they all get to do a lot.
They've had a lot of adventures, but to be able to now go into this aspect of okay, now I want to be able to train. Now I want to develop a dog who is a champion, or who has conquered these goals. I think now going to these dogs, it's almost like they're not even the same type of pets anymore. So I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what.
Yeah, it's I'm sorry you cut out there for a moment, but yeah, it's different. It's like I joke with my mom, that I know you love all your kids, right? But there's different attributes to each one of them that make you love them the way you do. And I would definitely say all of our rescue dogs are so amazing, and it's always rewarding getting to give an animal a home especially when the homes that they have been so awful. Just to be that little bit of secure shelter for them is amazing. And we get to do so much with them. But now these working dogs that we have invested into, which I would say are an investment, not only an investment into the dog, but an investment into our business and our future. And I don't mean as money grabs. We're not trying to exploit our dogs and, reap all these benefits out of them. No, it's an investment into showcasing the work that we do, whether that's in the basic obedience or creating behaviorally sound, neutral dogs and well-socialized dogs and hardworking dogs. We get to impart all this knowledge on them, which is an extension of what we do as a company. So that's where they have become a wonderful investment. So Shug being our first actual purchase puppy, honestly, we've done a lot of rescue up until this point. And she was wonderful. I mean, she is wonderful. We have a long journey left to go. This past year, we did all of our first training. She's about 1.5 years now. She had her first birthday back in June. And before her first birthday, we got to accumulate her first junior hunter title for hunt test and AKC. We got our prize 3 in NAVDA, which is the North American Versatile Hunting Dog Association. So we've got to accomplish a whole bunch of cool things this first year, and we have so many more things to go this second year. But with this second year coming up, we do have our next English setter joining the family as well. Kyle did touch on Dr. Dale Hubbard, who is also in Alabama. He is my upland training mentor. He is an amazingly intelligent gentleman who has his PhD in clinical psychology and an immense amount of knowledge in learning theory. And through the work that he's done in his practice over years and years and years, he also was able to utilize this knowledge in the upland training settings. So a lot of understanding of operant conditioning and how to effectively use the 4 quadrants of operant conditioning and classical conditioning to help advance bird dogs. So he took Shug for 2 months for us and helped me just kind of advance where her and I got on our own. We got really far, but there were just moments that, being my first bird dog, we didn't know how to adjust around. So he provided wonderful training for her, but, even more for me, just a wonderful sounding board and just really helped me advance myself for the next dog, which is also coming from him. He is going to be providing me my next hunting dog, which will be Jasper. We pick him up at the beginning of the year, so we're super excited for that. And like I said, not only does Dr. Dale know so much about dog training, but he produces such wonderful hunting line English setters. Our current English setter is a Ryman type, which is that middle ground of the show and hunting breed split. So this is going to be more of the hunting side of things. And eventually we will move to the show side of things to be able to be well-rounded English setter owners, enthusiasts, and eventually long down the road breeders. But yeah, it's wonderful getting to do this hunting side of things. I know we expected to get a show quality dog this year and start doing more conformation side of things, but everything keeps us coming back to the birds. So we're going to stick with that journey as long as our dogs will let us keep doing it. And we have a lot of other wonderful things coming up this year. We won't divulge everything in this first episode, but the main next couple things you have to expect from us is definitely some more stuff on Shug's continual training to get her to the point where she can go for her master title this year, and some training for the new pup who we are hoping to finally break into the field trial side of things. And so we just have a lot coming up. And, with Kyle in Alabama and Dr. Dale in Alabama, that means more trips for me to Alabama. And so, is there anything else that you want to touch on that people can expect from us this year?
I think that one, you may be selling a little bit short. So you do have the Orvis, I guess not the apprenticeship or the, I know they've made you the ambassador.
We have a guide to dogs coming up, but once again, I don't want to divulge too much in this first episode.
Oh, okay. All right. My bad. I'm sorry. Then that's my fault. No, I think that we are seeing that 2022 is kind of this year to grow. Obviously, I hate using this term. Like, after the pandemic, because there doesn't seem to be an after the pandemic. But,
I know, it just keeps going on.
But as we are kind of in an era where people are a little bit are getting back to their normal travel routines, obviously the business continues to grow as you continue to reach out and do more things and have these more adventures and get these more opportunities. You are becoming a more well-known name, and last year we had a feature in Broad Ripple magazine, and we had a feature in Orvis, and we're starting to get larger accounts on Instagram, following and sharing our stuff. So as we continue to grow, I think this is a good aspect for us to show people that we're not only your neighborhood pet sitter, but we're also these professionals who are honing in something that we're doing and that we're loving. And as you said, this is a learning space. So not only are you here to, share some of your knowledge that you've acquired, but to learn more and hopefully have an opportunity for clients who are listening, or anyone who's listening, to learn as well. So people understand that you seek expertise and you seek out the top knowledge and top professionals in their fields, and you seek the correct knowledge, and you seek those who work here. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited that this year that this can kind of be an outlet for us and for people to see that other side. And yeah, just looking forward to 2022 just all together.
Yeah, I agree. So you honestly wonderfully put it. This podcast is made for us to not only demonstrate the knowledge that we have as pet care professionals and dog training professionals, but to continue growing at the same time. I have loved the journey Shug and I have been on. It's had a lot of ups, so many ups, and also downs. And if you followed us to this point, you know that I am no stranger to giving you the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I want to keep doing that with this podcast, giving you real life recaps and updates on how training's going, the good things that are happening, the hiccups that are happening, the adjustments that have to happen along the way for continual progress. And then just to continually give my clients and anyone else listening some more information on how to effectively work with your dogs from a scientific standpoint. But I have a lot of learning to do still. Being in the upland community, I have been so blessed to gain so much traction so fast over these past couple of years and have so many wonderful supporters and people backing me. But my road to knowledge is not done yet. I have a lot I need to learn. And I think that there's so many wonderful people out there that I'm excited to have on this podcast and get to talk to and keep learning and growing with, and to build those other relationships, right? There is a difference in training in the upland community. I mean, if you're a trainer, you know that there's a difference in training in any community in which you're training in. And I want to continue to facilitate these conversations and to create more relationships, because I genuinely am just trying to do what's best for my dogs. But I know there's still so much left to learn from everyone. Training methods aside, same training, different training, doesn't matter. So much to learn still. So I'm super excited to do that. So definitely, if you like what you've heard here today, we have so many awesome guests coming up soon. Next week, you will hear from Holly Hatfield of Red River Bird Dogs. She's going to tell us about her brand, what got her kind of rolling in this community. And you can expect our first live event this month. It's going to be June. I'm skipping so far ahead. It's going to be January 21st. It'll be at 7 p.m. and that will also be with Holly Hatfield. We're going to be doing a breed breakdown on the Vizsla. So definitely stay tuned for those. Please like, share, subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Facebook to stay current on everything we have coming up. And again, we appreciate you guys so much for tuning in, and I hope you're as excited for 2022 as we are. Kyle, business partner, husband, best friend, thank you so much for talking with me today.
No problem. Looking forward to more of these, and looking forward to liking, subscribing, and listening myself.
Awesome. Well, that's perfect. And again, thank you. And to all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Take care.
Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the Urban Uplander Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like and subscribe. Don't forget to follow Urban Uplander Pet Care on Instagram and Facebook for more pet care and upland hunting content.